Welcome back to our 6th lesson, in which we will learn how to spawn our obstacles. First thing we will do is attach these obstacles to our camera. Let's click our main camera, add component, and add script that will be called spawn obstacles. Let's move the script to our folder. Now, as you remember, in our sprites we have this obstacles folder which holds our 5 obstacles and also bird 1 and bird 2. The birds are also our obstacles, so we have to deal with them now. So let's add our bird 1 to our scene, check its sorting layer to be front, then go to Window, Animation, and create animation. First animation will be Start. This will mark the beginning of the bird flapping, so save this one, add property, sprite renderer, and add sprite. Then create another one, which will be fly1, also add property, sprite renderer, and sprite. And let's also add fly2. We can just drag and drop the bird 2 from our sprites. Just make sure that it's at the beginning of the animation. Now go to fly1 and start, delete the end sprites. Now go to animator, so window, animator. We have our start, fly1 and fly2. Let's add the parameters, so click on parameters, click this little plus, trigger, which will be called start. Now let's add transition. So from start to fly1, condition will be start. And we have to uncheck the has exit time. And then from fly1 to fly2 and from fly2 to fly1, they have has exit time checked. So here we said when our start condition is checked, which we will state in one of our scripts. So when our bird starts flying, it goes to fly1, then fly2, then from fly2 goes to fly1, and as you can see there is no transition from fly1 to start, meaning that it never goes back. So they just keep exchanging from fly1 to fly2. This is okay, now we have to add collider to our bird. So let's close these windows. Click on bird 2, add component, physics 2D and polygon collider 2D. Now let's add script. So add component, this script will be called start flying. Let's add it to our folder. And let's open it. So when will our bird start flying? It will start flying as soon as it's spawned. So as soon as our script starts running, we will set trigger to be start. We can delete the update method. And we have to add private animator. And in our start method, we will say anim equals to get component animator, and we will say that anim sets trigger to start. Let's save it. Now let's go back to Unity. We will delete the obstacle 1 because we are not using it now. The bird 1 will be duplicated, so click on duplicate. Let's rename it to bird 2. So we need to set 1 to be higher and 1 to be lower, because 1 will not be threat to our dino and the second one will be because it will fly low and he has to jump over them. So first one, this one is high and it will not touch him. We will just move it to the right of our scene. Let's add the tag, so tag is also obstacle, and then let's add it to our prefabs. We can delete the first bird. Now the second one. This one needs to be jumped over, so we will position it a bit lower, like here, and move it behind the scene. Give it tag to be obstacle, and let's run before we put it in the prefabs just to make sure that Dino is able to jump over it. Okay, great. So we can put our second bird in our prefabs and delete it from the scene. Now we have to deal with spawning of obstacles. As you remember, we already added to our main camera the spawn obstacle script. Let's go ahead and open it. So we want our obstacles to be spawned randomly and at random positions. but those positions can't be close to each other because Dino will have no time to jump over them. That's why we will make one array. So let me show you how this works. Type public game object and name it obstacles. So this will be array, we know that it's array just because of this, of game objects called obstacles. So here we have created one array. Next thing we will state will be private game object called obj. So this will be each object in that array that will be spawned. We need the x position of this object, so we will say private float xpos, and let's initialize it to 0. And also we need to have one number that will be randomly generated. We need this random generate just because we want to spawn them at random positions. So type private int number equals 0. So this is that number that will be random. In our start method, we will use one method that is called invoke repeating. This is a new method in our course, so let me show you how it works. Just type invoke repeating, open the parentheses, and then type 3 parameters. First parameter is which method we will invoke. The method we will invoke will be count spawn, and we will add it after our start method. So open the quotation marks and type spawn. The next parameter is in how many seconds this method will start calling our spawn method. Let's say 1.5. Add f because it's float. The third parameter is number of seconds after the method spawn will be repeated. So let's say 1.6 f. So what we said, we will invoke repeating of our spawn method in 1.5 seconds from the starting of the game, and it will be called every 1.6 seconds. So let me comment that out for you, because this is new method and I don't want any confusion. So starting in 1.5 seconds, method that is called spawn will be repeated, meaning repeatedly called every 1.6 seconds. Okay, now let's move to our spawn method. We can delete the update and type private void spawn. Everything that happens in this method will happen only if our Dino is not dead. So again, we have to use that boolean the way we used it on our camera. So let's say if game object dot find, open the parentheses, open the quotation marks, so Dino dot get component, the script name is also Dino, dot is dead equals to false, then everything here will happen. So first thing, we will generate random number. We already have declared how it will be called. It will be number. So let's say number equals to random range. In the parentheses, we have two parameters. First one is minimum value and second one is maximum value. Because we have 7 of our obstacles, we will say from 0 to 7. Because when using integers, the 7 is exclusive. So basically this range goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It doesn't include the 7 because we are using integers. So we have created our random range number. Now let's create random position. For that purpose, we also need to add another variable, which will be private, float of course, random position, and it will be initialized to 0. So in our spawn method, this random position will be equal to random range. And now, let's see what are the x and y values. Because we want our obstacles to be spawned where our players can see them, we'll spawn them at the end of our camera. The end of our camera, and actually beginning of the second background, is, as you remember, 16. So x equals to 16. And let's add 10 more to that, so 26 will be the random position of our obstacles. So I will also comment this out for you. So 16 is the width of the background. We want to spawn where our players can see them. Now we have to add this random position to the current position of the object. So xpos equals to transform position x plus random position. So we took our current position, so the current position of our camera, and we added this random position. Okay, the next thing we have to specify is what is our OBJ. So our OBJ, or shortened for object, so OBJ equals to is actually the game object in our array. We write that as obj equals obstacles number, which is the random number that we have generated, as game object. So we'll use obstacles from wherever number we have here. So obstacle of 0 is our first game object from this array, and obstacle 1 is our second object from our obstacles array, and it goes on up to the sixth one, and sixth one will be the last game object from the obstacles array, and it will be used as game object. So let me also comment that out for you. So object, obj actually, is random game object from the array. So now let's use the instantiate to create clones of our prefabs. So type instantiate, open the parentheses. So we will be instantiating this object, so obj, which will be one of our prefabs. Location will be new vector 2 with the x position of x position, and y position is the same one as we already have in our prefabs, so obj.transform.position.y. Because we did not change y position, we can just type this out to use the same position as we already have on our object, and quaternion.identity. So we create the clones of the object next to the camera, keeping the y position of the object we are cloning, using the instantiate method. So let's save everything, go to Unity, click on main camera. Now find the spawn obstacle script, expand this obstacles, this is our array, and its size will be 7. Element 0 will be our obstacle 1, let's see. Element 1 is obstacle 2, and let's add everything, so 4th, 5th, and then we have our bird 1 and bird 2. So this is how we added the elements of this array called obstacles, which holds object as game object. Let's go back to Unity and let's run everything. There is one bird, one obstacle, second bird, again bird, obstacle, obstacle, obstacle. Okay, this looks fine to me. They all have these random positions. Some of them are closer, some of them are further apart. They are completely randomly positioned and completely randomly generated. And I'm satisfied with this look. This is everything for this lesson, and see you next time.